Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Millennium TV News. This is Fozia, the one with today's top stories. Hurricane Joaquin, Obama declares emergency in South Carolina. Horizon shooting, survivor escaped by playing dead. Tory conference, tax credit cuts to go ahead, says David Cameron. France floods, 60th day on revival after storms. Guatemala landslide, deaths rise to 73 with hundreds missing. Now the details. It has been raining for much of the week, but a weather system connected to Hurricane Joaquin in the Caribbean is expected to make the situation worse. It is regaining strength and has been reclassified as a Category 4 storm. Joaquin, currently of the Bahamas, has winds of up to 155 mph. The storm is not expected to hit the eastern U.S., but the moisture associated with it is contributing to heavy rainfall, particularly in South Carolina. The U.S. National Weather Service says parts of the state could see over 15 inches of rain by Sunday evening. In the historic city center of Charleston, many streets have been closed and sandbags have been piled up to keep floodwaters out. Where we normally are dealing with flooding for a few hours, we are dealing with it in days here, Charleston Police Chief Greg Mullen told the Associated Press News Agency. The emergency declared by President Obama means state and local authorities can receive federal help to deal with the flooding. On Thursday, a charge ship named the E-1 Furrow went missing after sailing through Hurricane Joaquin of the Bahamas. Randy Scorzian said the attacker ignored his daughter Leslie because she was covered by the body and blood of another victim. Instead, the gunman shot dead another student. 9 people were killed in the shooting at a community college in Oregon. The gunman, Charles Harper Mercer, 26, shot himself dead after exchanging fire with police. The victims ranged in age from 18 to 67. 8 were students while the oldest was a teacher. Mr. Crogans, a pastor, said he was indebted to the family of 20-year-old Trevon Anspach, who was shot after Mercer passed over his daughter. I will say thank you for giving birth to the one that saved my baby. Mr. Organs also said his daughter told him Mercer had spared one student to deliver a message to the authorities. Other students' relatives have backed up the account. Bonnie Scan, mother of Cheney Fitzgerald, said she was told by her 16-year-old daughter the gunman told her classmate they were going to be the lucky one. It is unclear why Mercer carried out the killings. The authorities have not released the contents of notes left by him. The PM told the BBC's Andrew Marr show the cuts were part of video reforms that would leave people better off. The changes we have put forward are right and they come with higher pay and lower taxes, he argued. But critics, including Tax Tory Minister David Willetts, say millions of working families will be left out of pocket. More than 3 million low-paid workers will be told just before Christmas how much they will lose from the changes to tax credits. Former Conservative Minister David Willetts has urged Mr. Cameron and Chancellor George Osborne to look again at the changes, a view supported by Labour MP Frank Field and Conservative MP Boris Johnson. The Institute for Fiscal Studies has warned it is arithmetically impossible for nobody to lose out under the changes, while another think tank, the Resolution Foundation, said more than 1 million households will lose an average of $1,350 a year. 3 elderly people drowned when their retirement home near the city of Antibes was inundated with floodwater. Others died trapped in their cars in tunnels and underground car parks as the waters rose. French President Francois Hollande announced a state of natural disaster in the affected region. He thanked resources and expressed the solidarity of the nation. Mr. Hollande offered condolence as he visited the retirement home in the town of Biot and urged residents in the region to remain cautious, saying it's not over. They said another 350 people were still believed to be missing under tons of rock and earth that slipped onto homes on Thursday night. Rescue teams were using dogs to try to reach people trapped under the rubble. A morgue has been set up with some burials already taking place. A government spokesman, Julia Beria, said they had managed to rescue 26 people so far. More than 1,000 rescue workers are working at the disaster site, deploying earth movers and signified dogs. A spokesman for the Guatemala Emergency Services, Conrad Julio Stange, said the United States and Mexico had offered help but were asked to remain on standby. He said Guatemala was following international protocols and advocates search and rescue producers for 72 hours after a disaster of this kind. Rescue workers could be seen calling out of those trapped under the soil and listening intently for ripples or movement. Viewers, we will take a short break. Stay with us. Israel's killed in Jerusalem, Palestinians banned from Old City. Afghan conflict, MSF staff leave bombed Kunduz hospital. PM President wish success of World Habitat Day. Bangladesh attack, Japanese man shot dead in Cunha. Merkel, VW scandal won't damage Germany's reputation. Let's move to the next news. Police have now banned Palestinians from East Jerusalem from entering the Old City for 2 days. The latest violence comes 2 days after an Israeli couple were shot dead in the West Bank. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is to hold emergency talks with security officials on Sunday. The restrictions will stop Palestinians from entering the Old City unless they live there. But Israelis, local business owners and school children will be allowed in. The first stabbing incident took place on Saturday evening, just after the end of the Jewish Sabbath, close to Lions Gate in the Old City. The 2 Israelis killed were Rabbi Nehemiah Levi, 41, a resident of the Old City, as well as 21-year-old Adron Bennett, who lives in a West Bank settlement. At least 19 people, including MSF staff, were killed in the strikes. The charity says some medics are treating wounded people in their clinics in Kunduz. Afghan troops are reported to have reported most of the city 6 days after it was seized by the Taliban. MSF said it was pulling most of its staff out of the area. The MSF hospital is not functional anymore. All critical patients have been referred to the other health facilities and no MSF staff are working in our hospital, a spokeswoman for the charity told AFP news agency. I can't confirm at this stage whether our Kunduz Trauma Center will reopen or not, she added. The medical charity says the hospital was a lifeline for thousands in the city and in northern Afghanistan. A regional doctor who escaped the fighting in the city and is now in Takhar described conditions in the city. There is no doctor, no medicine, and no treatment in Kunduz. Jamal Khan told Reuters news agency. People are getting killed in the city, but there is nobody to help and take away their dead bodies. About 4,000 of us residents of Kunduz have been forced from our homes. President M. Abdul Hamid and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina wished all programs of World Habitat Day 2015 a success. In her message, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina urged the development partners to come forward along the public and private initiatives to create planned urbanization in the country, hoping that the country is turned into a livable habitat for the next generation. The PM said improving living standards of the people through planned housing, the urbanization is one of the commitments of the present government. In a spirit message, the president said public places like parks, beaches, social places, roads, and places adjacent to historic sites are dwindling in the developing nations. He also added that people's access to those places is becoming limited. The president also said urbanization is important, but it must be assured that it doesn't take place in an uncontrolled manner. He said that the nation would be able to ensure planned habitat and urbanization if everyone works together. Kunio Hoshi, who worked for a farming project, was attacked in the town of Konya. Islamic State militants said they had carried out the attack. It comes days after an Italian aid worker was murdered in the capital Dhaka in an attack also claimed by the jihadist group. The authorities have not verified the claims. Mr. Hoi's body has been taken to a state-run hospital. An investigation is underway. The killing of the Italian man, Cesar Davella, prompted the US and the UK to warn its citizens to be cautious. Attacks on foreigners in Bangladesh are rare, correspondents say, but Islamist violence has surged recently, including high-profile attacks on atheist bloggers. Viewers, now the business news. The German Chancellor said on Sunday that the car maker now needed to provide the necessary transparency. It is, of course, a dramatic event which is not good, Mrs. Merkel said. But I think the reputation of German industry is not so shaken that we are no longer considered a good place to be business. VW has admitted that as many as 11 million diesel vehicles worldwide were fitted as a so-called defeat device that allowed emissions tests to be reset. The gadget deactivated when the car was being tested and switched the engine to a low emissions mode. It then turned that mode off when the car was not on the road, meaning that it had far higher emissions than permitted. The figure was far lower than the 205,000 increase forecast by economists. The number of jobs created in July and August were revised down by a combined 59,000. Wall Street opened sharply lower, with the Dow Jones and S&P 500 indexes both down about 1.3%. However, both indexes later recovered to be up about 0.5% and 0.6% respectively. The poor figures also resulted in a roller coaster ride for the FTSE 100, which ended the day up 0.9% at 6,129.9 points, despite also turning negative in afternoon trading. The Labor Department numbers reinforced fears the China-led global economic slowdown is hitting America's recovery, adding to doubt about whether the Federal Reserve will raise rates before 2016. The number of new jobs for August was cut by 3,700 to 1,306,000 in sharp contrast to the upward revision expected by economists. The July total was also reduced by 22,000 to 2,45,000. Viewers, now the sports news. The 58-year-old who previously held the role from 2008 to 2011 succeeded Jagmohan Dalmia, who died last month. The first priority is to restore the faith of the fans, said Manohar. There is grievance that the board is not transparent. It's a perception created that because information does not come out, there's something wrong. Manohar, who will serve a 2-year term as head of arguably the most powerful organization in world cricket, has pledged to put the BCCI's constitution, expenditure details and balance sheet on its website. He also said the board would appoint an independent ethics officer who would look into cases to conflict to interest involving players and administrators. Manohar also promised central contracts for women cricketers, revival of the National Cricket Academy in Bangalore, and financial accountability in the state units. The Nagpur-based lawyer was the lone candidate and elected at a special general body meeting of the BCCI at its headquarters in Mumbai. The Premier League champions lost 3-1 at home to Southampton, their fourth league defeat in 8 games. "I want to make it clear. 1. I don't run away," said Mourinho. 2. If the club want to sack me, they have to sack me because I am not running away from my responsibilities or my team. Chelsea are 16th in the table, 10 points behind leaders Manchester City, who thrashed Newcastle 6-1. "To be champions now is very difficult because the distance is considerable," Mourinho told Sky Sports. "But I am more than convinced that we will finish in the top 4, and when the season is so bad, if you finish in the top 4, it is okay. Third, and I think this is even more important than the first and the second, it is a crucial moment in the history of this club. You know why? Because if they sack me, they sack the best manager this club had." Viewers, let's have a look Millennium TV News Recap. Hurricane Joaquin, Obama declares emergency in South Carolina. Horizon shooting, survivor escaped by playing dead. Tory conference, tax credit cuts to go ahead, says David Cameron. France floods, 60th day on revival after storms. Guatemala landslide, deaths rise to 73 with hundreds missing. You are up to date with our top stories so far here on Millennium TV, and don't forget to log in www.millenniumtv.net. Thank you and stay with Millennium TV. Allah Hafiz.